Hello everyone, welcome to the Ichimoku.co daily stock market review for the trading day ending Monday, July 20th. Firstly to the S&P 500 and looking at the weekly chart here, and here we see this very large white body that has completed trading for the current week, last week, and a very large white body candle changing the trend, and the buyers coming back in strongly off the back of this downtrending candle, a candle where the buyers had taken control and the market found support down below the 2067 level and below the important Kijun-sen resistance. The buyers coming back into the market strongly, closing with very strong control and breaching through 2119 suggests a very real possibility of the S&P establishing a new major high through the 2134 level over the next week or so. The strong build in momentum is reflected in the large white body of this candle, and it means that there's been very strong upside momentum between the open and the close for the week that has just finished trading. Just looking at today's trading, and some doubt whether we will reach that major high in the next day or two. There is a possibility of a retracement here, and this is off the back of this very strong first time frame uptrend that the market's been in for approximately a week and a half. Throughout that uptrend, we had a series of very large white body candles with a couple of small bodied candles in between, and at the end of this significant uptrend, we see some indecision enter the market as we're testing above the 2125 level of previous resistance. Above here, it's been a very important area where the market's been rejected from on a couple of occasions, and when we were testing up around the major highs here, we only just closed above this region once, and then we saw strong selling coming into the market. The next time we approached up above there, we saw creation of an indecisive candle and then very strong selling again. So with the market producing an indecisive spinning top tail candle today, it does suggest a possibility of a change of trend back to the downside. But what we should be doing here also is watching the support down below here at 2119 and at the 2114 level. When the market began trending down strongly from the tester above this 2125 level, we saw this area taken out very strongly with these large black body candles. So that's going to be an important benchmark for this market moving forward. Now if we do test down through there, looking to strong support at the 2100 level, but a lot depends on this next trading day. With this indecision entering the market, it means that the buyers certainly aren't as strong as they were previously, but that doesn't mean that they may not continue the trend to the upside. What we have to do is watch the high of this current candle, which is at 2132, for any strong buying coming into the market early, and we could then see the market test up to and perhaps through the 2134 major high. Now looking at this in Ichimoku terms, we do have a bullish market in all three timeframes, trading above the Kijun-sen and the Tenkan-sen, which are both the pink line and the green line here, representing trending price action in the medium and fast term timeframes, and also trading up above the Ichimoku cloud, so bullish in all three timeframes, and supported by the Chica span, which is above the corresponding price action. So this suggests that even if we do see something of a pullback, and if some of these areas of support hold, we could then see the trend resume back to the upside. Moving next to the Dow 30 on the weekly charts, and here we see this very strong bullish candle following the market testing down below the 17735 level and below the Kijun-sen indicator. The Kijun-sen for the week prior holding a strong support for the fourth of the previous 5 weeks consecutively, and the market being unable to close down below there suggested that in that medium term time frame the buyers were still relatively strong, and we've seen the buyers coming in the market for this week that has closed with a very strong white body candle, strong upside momentum. The problem may be this strong highlighted zone, yellow zone, which has been tested on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 occasions, including this week, and every time that we've tested up above there, we've seen some strong selling coming in, with the market testing back down to around either the Kijun-sen or the Tenkan-sen to find support. So very important week of trading. If the market can breach up through there in a strong bullish manner, we could see new major highs established, and that major high is at 18351. If we do see any selling, we should see very strong support coming in down around the Kijun-sen indicator, which has been tested previously and how it has held as very strong support. Now just looking at that head and shoulders pattern that had formed previously in this market, and here we see the trend. Always we need that prior trend and very strong uptrending price action. Then we saw formation of a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder here as the neckline was taken out. We drew a neckline through there, and we had a breach below the neckline, but we didn't have a close below the neckline, and that's very important. Most of these patterns are completed when we see a close above or below the barriers of the patterns, not just the breakout, and that's very important to remember. Here we saw the breakout but no close, so no completion of that pattern. Now there was an opportunity for the completion for this week that has completed trading, but we saw the buyers come in strongly, so it really does negate this pattern that had formed. But if we did see the breakout for this week, we would have seen the target down within the Ichimoku cloud, so quite an unrealistic target as well, with the top of the Ichimoku cloud well above where the target would have been. With the buyers coming in, bouncing off this area, as I've mentioned, this pattern is really negated. It doesn't fit anything of a normal sort of pattern. Perhaps a complex right shoulder could form. We'll have a look at that if it does later. Looking next to the Nasdaq 100, and here we've seen very, very strong buying coming into this market for the close of the week. Bouncing off the support from an indecisive spinning top type candle at the 43.80 level and the 43.47, and very close to the Kijun-sen support. The formation of that indecisive candle suggested indecision in this very short-term time frame downtrend, and the buyers came in very solidly for last week's trading to breach through the previous resistance area at 44.83, through the important resistance at 45.62, which has been tested on 3 previous occasions, and finding resistance around the previous major high about 46.59. For this week, as this current candle is forming, we are seeing the market testing up through that resistance, and it does suggest a possibility of this market continuing to trade to higher levels. But in terms of Ichimoku, we are trading well up above the cloud, above the Kijun-sen, and importantly we have been trading up above this Kijun-sen for quite some time, tested very close to it for the week prior to the one that has finished, and bouncing off in a solid way suggests that even though we saw this congestion area form over the last month or so, and there was some doubt about whether we were going to see a strong correction in equities markets, we've seen the buyers come back strongly into the trending price action in that medium-term time frame. Looking next to the daily charts with the Nasdaq 100, and here we see creation of a spinning top type candle today, introducing indecision into the market following this very strong first time frame uptrend and these series of very large white body candles. In this series of strong first time frame uptrend, we see that the market has gapped up on 3 occasions, and that just suggests that there's been so much enthusiasm from the buyers, that the buyers are so strong in this market at the moment. It's created what we call windows in terms of candlesticks, and they tend to be areas of very strong support in an uptrend. So if the market tests back initially to this area below the 46.59 previous level of resistance, we're likely to find some strong support coming in there, then down at the next level and the one down below that. The introduction of an indecisive candle suggests the possibility of a change of trend. So we will be watching this 46.59 level, very important. We have seen that area hold as support for today's candle, but as I've mentioned, any breach down below there is likely to find very strong support in the window, which extends down through to about 45.97. Looking next to the Russell 2000, and not as strongly bullish as the other indices. We did see the gap up for this week's trading that has completed, and forming a window down below the Tenkan-sen area. For this current week, we see formation of a white body candle, but a larger shadow on the top than the other markets, suggesting that the buyers have lost commitment as they were testing very close to the 1278 region. We've seen the buyers continue with control, but only a very weak amount of control, with the market closing just up above the midpoint level. So it suggests that we could see some selling in this market, and that's exactly what we're seeing in this current week as it is developing. So the Russell 2000 is trading a little bit differently than the other higher cap or more specialized indices. In terms of Ichimoku, however, we are still seeing the market trade up above each of the Ichimoku indicators, and very important has been the Tenkan-sen in the recent past, where we breached down through there, and now it's holding as support here, the green line here. And previously we saw the market test down to the Kijun-sen, the pink line. The Tenkan-sen was the green line, pink line is the Kijun-sen, and that held as support a couple of weeks ago and will continue to do so if we do test down to lower levels. Looking at this current candle that is forming, we have very strong support through the Tenkan-sen indicator, roughly about 1262, down to the bottom of the window that was opened, roughly about 1253, 1254. Now just looking at the daily charts here with the Russell 2000, and here we're seeing 2 consecutive black body candles and suggesting some strong selling coming into the market. Very much different than we saw with the other indices. So we're seeing something of a reallocation within the equities market away from the smaller cap stocks that the Russell 2000 tends to represent, a much broader index, and to the larger cap stocks where we have the Dow 30 and the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq trending, Nasdaq 100 that was trending up very, very strongly, and with the buyers strongly in control. Here we've seen a continuation of the trend that began at the end of last week's trading. Another large black body candle, sellers in control, even stronger control and stronger momentum for this week's trading. Important, a breach down below the Kijun-sen indicator in a bearish manner, but this window that was opened up in the recent past held a support down around the lows of today's candle, and suggesting that there could continue to be very strong support down around to about the 1253 region. And just looking at the ETFs here, and the Russell 2000 ETF IWM is the code, and here we see on the relative strength comparative chart very strongly underperforming the S&P 500 represented by the SPY ETF. Underperforming in terms of trading down below that lower band here, trending down very strongly. Very strong underperformance, very strong downtrend, and look at the momentum of that relative strength down below the 100% level and trending down very strongly down below the lower band as well. Just taking a quick look at some of the sectors here, and XLK is the technology sector, and this is where the funds have been flowing through to quite strongly. Testing up above the Ichimoku indicators here for the second consecutive trading day. We saw a strong breakout. The follow through hasn't been terribly strong with the formation of an indecisive candle and finding resistance around this previous swing high, a major swing high 43.81. So a lot depends on how the market reacts to this area tomorrow. The introduction of an indecisive candle suggests we could see the return of a first time frame downtrend, but looking to this ETF to find support down around the $43 level at the top of the Ichimoku cloud, strongly outperforming the overall S&P 500 here by trading up above that upper band, and momentum of relative strength is trending up very strongly. And the weakest sector here obviously is the energy sector. The ETF is XLE, strongly trending down below each of the Ichimoku indicators. Sellers very strong in the market today. Strong black body candle continuing that downtrend. Looking at the relative strength comparative to the SPY ETF, the overall S&P 500, down below the lower band, and the momentum of that